character I'm sure all your shippers will find interesting. We have Mr. Liam McIntyre and Ms. Lawless. Go from there. And what are you guys thinking of Dragoncon so far?
I just want to say
something. Yourself.
Lucy, please explain this because Lucy's actually had to get word on it for a second because
just sick of walking, you know. She's used to being dominant.
This is the only way to get through traffic. No, I was running to an Adventure Time panel because I'm crazy about the show and I want to be cool with my kids, so I wanted to photograph them or something, and I just felt something snap in my calf running across the road, and there you go. So.
We have to get Medicus. We have to get Medicus.
Totally missing the panel.
With his tools.
You made it!
You'll chop it later.
How good is Dragoncon?
I just want to thank everybody from Atlanta, especially from the city, for having us here. I went down to the stadium the other night. When I first flew in, I jumped, I arrived at the hotel and somebody told me the Falcons were playing. So I literally dropped my bags and ran down to the stadium and caught that unfortunately they lost to the Jaguars. Sorry guys. Yeah. But rise up, Atlanta.
Hi, Lucy Lawless. I was wondering, right here, I was wondering if you had a difficult time with all the nudity in Spartacus first episode.
No, I loved it. Yeah, no, it's a bit grim shooting those things. It's 0% sexy, and the trick is to make it look as to play the scene and not be showing your terror. And we did all right, didn't we? We did. Yeah, Manu was the only one who truly was like volunteering. It's not true. He would volunteer and then he would go, "What have I done? What have I done?" It's like, yeah, baby, it's part of the scene. It's important.
It's true, but I got to say that working with Lucy was electric. As we start this off, and I'll just get this out of the way right from the beginning. Season 1, our wonderful Spartacus, Andy Whitfield. I'm sure that everybody here would probably like to hear something about Andy before we go on and talk about our journeys. We were very lucky to find somebody with heart, because it's not easy in this acting industry to find somebody with purity and heart. Honestly, like it's the right look and the right age and all that sort of stuff, and we found it in Liam because Liam's got heart in spades. And when he saved our show, time was really needed some respect.
I've always thought that it's not how a character is introduced, but it's how they go out that really makes you remember them, their legacy. So,
spoiler alert.
Diving off a cliff with an infant. Lucy, how did that come about, and how did you feel about that whole scene?
Well, I didn't know this. I must have known this. I was the only one who knew that that's what she was going to do with Olivia from the very beginning. Once they brought Lucretia back, and I'm one hell of a good at keeping secrets, because Viva and I would be on the set together every day, good buddies, hang out on the weekends. We were doing some B-roll even after we had filmed that. And she and Stephen were saying, yeah, I think Lucretia, they're in the bar and they talk, they've got some communion going on because she's in a bad way, and she's in a bad way, and they're really shoring one another up. And I think Lucretia really, really cares for Olympia. And I was like, no, she doesn't. He's like, you're just the incubator. This is when we're watching. When Lucretia lost Spartacus, love was over for her. And the only thing left was her to survive long enough to get her child to take him to her husband. That was the mission in life, was always to provide a son, and eventually she did. Terrible.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and my question is for Liam and Manu. Can you tell me what kind of rigorous exercise program, obviously for your muscles?
Did you say sexercise? Gladiator booty camp.
No, something about the ultimate workout. Wasn't it on Twitter? There's a new Spartacus, the hardest workout ever, or some sort of...
That's Tyrone. That's Tyrone. He's totally milking it. Tyrone was like a stunt double, and then he became like the trainer of everybody.
One question. As you know, a lot of us dress up in a costume. If you guys could dress up as a superhero or whoever, what would you dress up as?
Lumpy Space Princess. Sorry for you guys.
My hero, Gannicus. Dusty.
I don't think I'd fit into Jack Brannigan's velour. So, either Batman or Wolverine.
Always say Batman.
Liam is truly a nerd. He's seriously into all the video games and thinks he's the real deal.
Lots of us. Assassin's Creed 3, what's up?
He plays Xbox, you know, where it's just like this, you know, like at San Diego Comic Con.
Don't like that.
That was the wrong side of the thumb, wasn't it? In San Diego Comic Con, they launched the Spartacus game, and I got put up against him in front of the whole crowd. And Crixus got his ass kicked. So at the very beginning of the first season, I was trying to dig stuff up, trying to find ways to relate to this man, and trust me, I mean, I felt very responsible for portraying a man's life, you know, who went through all of that. You know, sometimes you don't really focus on that point, that Crixus was a man who had to fight with his, you know, and shed his blood for this cause. So, you know, I really felt I had to honour him. But in the early days, I got together with the costume designers, and I found out that the symbol for death, you know, the harbinger of death, for the Gauls was the crow. So the necklace that I wore, we made especially because it's got two crow heads coming together in the middle here, and that was the idea that Crixus was the harbinger of death in the Gaul kind of thing.
Super, thank you, and you can call me Lucy.
Thank you, former dominant.
Is that Navia? Two Navias? Well, Atlanta's my lucky city. Rise up, Atlanta.
It certainly can be a lucky city. So, my question
Yeah, she's got business with me first, sorry.
I'll just sit here.
just be a moment.
Just wash your hands.
I just really hope there's not a mirror in don't bring her knife.
Guys, I can't hear you speak. Can you speak closer and louder or something?
Okay, that was just a joke.
Oh.
So my question is for everyone, but really kind of directed to Manu, because there's a lot of talk about the cast changes with Nadia being played by another actress, and obviously with Spartacus. And it seems to me, and a lot of people who are fans of the show, I'm sure, that because of how close Crixus was to those two characters, the actors had to rely on you a lot to kind of pull that together and make it as seamless as possible. So I'm curious, what was your approach kind of going into that with your lover and your best friend?
Yes, how did you help them craft their performance?
Well, with all due professionalism, if you take the emotion, let me tell you, Spartacus. Now, the other day, to be honest, if you take the emotions out of it, basically, this is a serious matter. Don't want to be joking this way. Again, I'll return to the loss of Andy Whitfield. That left a huge pause on the whole planet, and I mean it. I've spoken to people from all over the world about this.
Casting? Does it always happen? I don't know if it always... I don't know, that's a really good question. Where does chemistry come from? Because sometimes you have chemistry with people. Kevin Smith and I, who played Ares, have fabulous chemistry on screen, and then they'd say, cut, and we'd go, no swing, amazing. You do all this big kissing scene, don't feel a thing for you. It's like, love you, mate, but nothing. So screen chemistry and real life chemistry, totally different.
I'll give you a true little glimpse into something. I worked with Lucy in 1998, 99 on Xena, and I played Mark Antony, and Lucy was pretending to be Cleopatra to save Egypt, and I was a young...
It's time again.
Yeah, but I was a young, fairly inexperienced actor, still trying to find my, calm. I mean, when you first start acting, you're very nervous, and you mightn't do things rationally, and you're trying to find the poise that you need in front of a camera and the relationships with the crew to actually survive in the industry. But I was kind of like, I think I was a bit rude to Lucy back in Xena. She put me in my place, and kind of like, I kind of had to wait several years later. I remember coming back and Rob recasting me. Rob Tappert, who did that, recast me in 30 Days of Night with Josh Hartnett, which was my second big break. I mean, this guy is responsible for me being here. I mean, honestly, Rob Tappert was the guy who gave me my acting career.
Yeah, he believed.
But then when I came on to Spartacus, and I could come up with Lucy again and play these incredible scenes, it was like this growth period that I'd sort of been involved with her husband, giving me opportunities, but then it was like coming back and trying to be more professional and trying to hit my marks with Lucy. And I remember just feeling like it was the proving point. I had to get to a scene with Lucy in Fruitman, which was perfect, because that was exactly Crixus's kind of thing, And so going into a scene with Lucy, because she just is so alive in her eyes. You ask about chemistry, you go into a scene with Lucy and you're playing the game at the level, But thank you, Lucy. Thanks for the lessons in acting. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've forgotten all any of that.
And the lessons in love.
I love I am the eponymous row. I loved anything to do with the father-in-law, where he walks in on the menage a trois. It was amazing. And then Kill There was coitus interruptus, and then there was like lifus interruptus.
I guys face off. That was cool.
Oh.
You know what? To this day, it's still Andy Whitfield sitting under the arena at the very start with his hand shaking, and you know what's going on upstairs. It's like that's your show. It's this man who has such a journey. Like, what better way to express? Like, just people generally know the story of Spartacus in a vague way, at least. And to start there, going, wait, this guy's not like leading an army and murdering the whole, Roman legions. It was just such a fragile and beautiful way to start the story, and it just I don't know, something really touching about it. So I love that first moment that I saw. But for me, I mean that last battle was just so
Shot.
So a guy came from a part of New Zealand that apparently does a lot of adult film, and we didn't know that this place was famous for that. But he taught everybody that you sit there with a hot water bottle on your lap and covered in a towel, and you just keep yourself in good shape. You think warm thoughts. You didn't see that? You weren't there in the first season. Sorry, mate. Nobody tells you what you need to know.
Well, you girls had a merkin. This thing, the girls had this thing called a merkin, which was like a toupee. And you just took off.
downstairs toupee.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, next question. What was your question, sir?
But you guys got the full stick-on living prosthetic.
Oh, the Kirk Douglas.
The Kirk Douglas.
Yeah.
Not when Manu was in any of this.
No, there were times when you were like, is there a Kirk for me? It's really cold. Now that I made the little forget it. And that was when you were cold.
Oh,
It was amazing.
Michael Hurst directed that episode. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in front of
I
you
know
guys.
you were like, oh, it's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Like,
There was this,
it's a good, you're okay.
there's a scene where Olivia's lying back like this.
Watching and he's standing there like a piece of meat.
Look, Risha's sitting there like this.
Trying to sell him.
And Navy's in the background like this.
But he wasn't allowed to cover up.
And Batty Alice says, Crixus, remove your sublicar. It was like -1.
He was all gung-ho to do it when it was written. He's like, yeah, I think that's right, because he is just horse flesh, basically. It's right for the scene, and he knew it. He was committed to it until the moment came. He was like, oh. No. He's like, yeah.
You let it down when you have to wear a modesty patch too, because that's an unpleasant thing to take off. You like stick it down and then you've got to like bang it right off.
Feel that pain.
Tough being a slave.
A modesty patch, for those who don't know, is kind of like a bit of cushioning that you can put around the area with some tape.
Makes you like a Ken doll.
Yeah. And I remember Manu saying, oh, this is ridiculous. It's like we've got 2 bicycle seats with strapped to our bodies. So nobody feels anything ever.
It's like putting on one headphone and then doing a Brazilian.
A phone books to do.
We're not going to get out of this hole, are we? Have we talked about Jupiter's cock yet?
That's just like had a really strong effect on you personally. That's what I think.
I wonder if she wrote one.
You never know what to believe, actually, from letters, you know. I was at the deathbed of one. Does that count? What? It's okay. It's okay. It's a long time ago. Yeah, that was pretty amazing to be with somebody through their last couple of days. I don't know what not to say about that, I don't want to. It's good. It's good. It's a privilege. Look, I like dying people. I prefer them. They don't care who you are, and you would do anything for them. Yeah, it's a privilege, as some of you will probably know. Hi.
Goals pants.
It's an old vintage.
I used to like go in the shower after one of the more bloody. Every time you get really bloody, you go in the shower, and I constantly thought I was hemorrhaging because I'd be like, "Oh my God!" Same as usual, same as for the last 2 years. That's just made up.
Yeah, there's another funny story with Liam and I where we got rushed off to San Diego Comic-Con and we were leaving from set to go. We were running late for the plane. And they were taking the costumes off us and we were running out and they had our baggage and everything. And we made it to the plane, but we literally just jumped out of our costumes and just chucked everything on. And we're sitting in business class and the guy came out with the refresher towels. And I suddenly looked at Liam and I went, "Oh my God, you're covered in blood." And all he had a little bit of colour on him because he'd done in Italy, So he took this refresher towel and he just went like this, and like in one wipe it looked like, a baby's nappy. And I was just sitting there giggling, waiting for this guy to come back with his tongs and go.
I was like, I'm just gonna pretend like it's totally clean. Don't look into it. But don't have you still got the photo that I insisted you didn't take that you took?
I tweeted it. What are you talking about?
That's why I lost all those fans.
Yay! Another big problem.
Is that the link?
That is link.
But if you wanted to see tricks, you either had to look at Gannicus or Saxa, because those two actually got some sword stuff down pat. Saxa could get these things on hand and just go, and then Gannicus Dustin also had some very cool tricks that he procured.
You kept stealing my moves, Joe. I want to do that one.
He was Gannicus. He was Gannicus. Oh, what was the goat story?
Oh, there's no goat story, but a guy did come up yesterday and ask me to sign the actual knife that I carved up a goat with.
Nice.
That's all I have to say.
Good afternoon. I had a question basically. One, this inspired me from Manu, Bennett to say to Lucy, "You're still And I also wanted to ask, I know Lucy, you've done some voice acting, but have any of you guys wanted to do any future projects such as voice acting or any animated films or any projects coming soon?
I'm doing the voice for Arzok. Well, I did the promotion and the voice for Arzok in The Hobbit. Yeah. You're doing video games.
I want to do the hell out of it. Oh, well, I did this part.
Yeah.
But, I want to do the hell out of some voiceovers. That would be sick. I just met some of the guys from Futurama, which is but yeah, if you want this casting, like do a range of voices, range of accents, if you like. Do English, Scottish. Yeah, so that's my pitch. But no, I haven't yet. But thanks for asking. These guys.
Yeah, I want to do it too. Yeah. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? It would be sick. And good too. In a really good way. about getting me some crutches, and we said, look, before you run to the CVS, we should let our fingers do the walk. We should Google it up. And they said, because you know the Wi-Fi around here, they went, we can make a phone call, and we all went, like a person, like talk to a person. Yeah, there's this ancient invention called a cell phone. We realized none of us have done that in a long time. You Twitter, you tweet, it's like you can call a real human being.
Hello guys, big fan of the show. Gratitude for coming out to Atlanta. I had a question for Lion.
He's got a Samsung up at an Apple.
One, two, three.
That's probably the best place where we could end up on, too, so.
Thank you guys for being the sweetest audience ever, really. The questions are always so in-depth and just lovely.